Sullivan. I'm a former IRS agent and teaching instructor with the IRS. Welcome to my YouTube station. It's the home of the 5-minute or less video. I tell you everything you need to know within 5 minutes. I love to shoot these videos at my home. My office is across the street. I love just being in my short and flip-flops and just give you everything I know. I worked at IRS for a decade. I've been in private practice for 4 decades. I've been doing this 50 years. I've worked about 10,000 cases. I have a whole team of former IRS agents. You can check my team out. I've been on the national news. Many of you have come to me. You've seen me on national television and you've joined my station. I do appreciate all the subscriptions, by the way. I hope you do that at the end of this. Anyway, we're going to be finished in 4 minutes. So when I worked at IRS, I taught the offer and compromise program. With a pen similar to this, I'd accept offers and deny offers. And Peter Salinger in my office has worked over 2,500 offers and compromise. He was a supervising manager of an offer group. So those are the things that we're going to tell you about, is how actually to go ahead and negotiate the offer and compromise itself and what to do. So I don't know how many I worked at IRS, and the offer and compromise is the buzzword. Boom, 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 boom. Everyone wants to settle their debt for this and that. Let's just settle down a minute, because there's a lot of false advertising. If you have the money to pay this tax, IRS isn't going to settle the debt. If you have a $50,000 debt and you got $75,000 in assets, IRS isn't going to settle the debt. It's for people who, if they liquidated everything, cannot go ahead and settle the debt. There's a very strict formula for the offer. IRS wants to know what your assets are, and they want to know what money you have left over at the end of the month, given the IRS national standard. So IRS basically is looking at 2 things. They're looking at the value of your assets, and they're looking at the value of your income. So how does that look like? So let's just say you have $20,000 in assets. If you were to sell them, well, how does IRS value your money, your income? IRS says, well, we have a national standard, and that national standard says, we're only going to allow you to spend so much money a month, and whatever you have left over, that really belongs to us. So let's figure out how much you got left over. That's called the national standard. But here's about the national standard you have to know. You ready for this? IRS is going to lock you into your food and clothing. They're going to lock you into your housing and utility payments. They're going to lock you into your car payments, and they're going to lock you into your operating expenses for car. If you want to find out what those are, just go ahead and Google IRS National Standards for Food and Clothing, IRS National Standards for Housing and Utilities, IRS National Standards for vehicle ownership costs, National Standards for auto expense. They'll give you the list. What they're trying to do is limit how much you can spend a month, because what they do, if you have $1,000 left over at the end of the month, they're going to multiply that 1,000 by the number of months left on your statute. So if you have $1,000 left over a month and you have 5 years left on the statute, that's going to come out to $60,000. You got 60 months. 1,000 times $60 for the value of your income and expenses. It's key you understand the national standard expenses, or don't file. Now let me say this. How do you negotiate this offer and compromise, or can you negotiate the offer and compromise? The answer is very limited, is your negotiation, because IRS, what they've done is they've taken away the judgment part of the offer and compromise. When I worked at IRS, I would look at the financial and they'd let me use my judgment. Now, they don't let you use your judgment. So if you think you're going to negotiate an offer and compromise, you're not. It's all by this strict formula. Once again, what is the formula? They want to know what are the value of your assets. That's A, and they're going to want to know how much you got left over a month. times the number of months left on your statute, that's B, and they add them both together. Now, can you negotiate that? The answer is no. The only thing you can negotiate is the value of your assets. IRS may say, well, we're coming up with this value. You can say, no, those values aren't true. They are going to give you the value. There is some negotiation for that. You can say, no, we disagree with that. But remember, IRS uses this very, very strict formula. And one place you can find it play out is for the IRS offer and compromise, their pre-qualifier tool. You will see that play out if you fill that out. The other thing that you need to know is if you're going to do this yourself, learn as much as you can about the IRS national standards. But if you're not, if you're going to get somebody to do this, you have to make sure that person has worked hundreds of offers. That's the only way you're going to have a chance to get the lowest offer. It's one thing getting an offer approved. It's another thing getting the lowest offer approved. How do I know what the lowest offer is? Because I taught the offer and compromise program. I know exactly how to get the lowest offer, and I know what you have to do to shake and bake the system to get the lowest offer and compromise. Anyway, just don't go file an offer because it extends the statute a year, and you don't, plus the time it's an offer. Right now, take a guess. It takes to get an offer through, it's a year. IRS isn't even going to start working in a year, so you probably will extend your statute of limitations at least 15 to 16 months, and you don't want to do that. What I suggest you do is, if you are going to call a company, whether us or anything, give that financial statement to whoever you're going to have work the case and let them find out if you can get your offer and compromise through. Just don't go give it to anybody. Make sure they're qualified. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments section. You just heard the truth.